no Jedi.
Your powers are weak, old man.
Always remember, your focus determines your reality.
Hello there.
General Kenobi! You don't know the power of the dark side.
Hello and welcome back after a very long break to the Disciples of the Force podcast. I'm your host, Austin Hyatt, and this is my beautiful, now wedded, now married, co-host, Spencer Silva. How's it feel, Spencer?
Yes. Hey, first off, that's why they call me some shady baby, because I'm back.
He's back.
No, it's good, man. Married life is, you and I were just talking about it before. It's great. I love the old ball and chain. Keep her around.
Sure.
She's good for me. No, but I miss podding with my bud Oz. You know, it's been 2 weeks. We tried to set something up a week before my wedding, and then our friend Forrest ruined everything. Like
Came over. He's too likable. He's too enjoyable. Distracted us. We couldn't do it. So
yeah. So here we are. We're back. Sorry for the delay in the break.
Well, and I just wanted to thank our fans. I don't know if they all know this, but the way that Spencer found his now wife was through the podcast. She was a listener. She just found us on Spotify. And she said, "Who is that one that sounds pretty?" And we said, "Well, that's got to be Spencer."
And she found out that he was already married, so then she went to me.
Sure, yeah. And so they really got set up through this podcast, and that's just the beauty of our fans. So we really appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, so keep a lookout. Maybe our next guest could be your future husband or wife. So look out.
Yep. Yeah. And also, fans, I'm not committed to anything in my relationship. So if there's any openings, male or female, I don't care. But
just give him something.
Yeah. Anyway, any Star Wars news, Spenny?
Star Wars news for me, a couple things. My dad was cleaning out my grandma's basement because it's like dirty, and he's like, "I got you a present," and he got me the William Shakespeare Star Wars Verily A New Hope. And I mean, I don't really care for Shakespeare. I mean, not that he's great. I'm not attacking it. It's just like if I'm gonna read something, I'd read something that I would like. But anyways, the cool part is like this illustration on the back is really dope. It's kind of hard to see. It's freaking Darth Vader looking at the Death Star. It's like the old-timey. It's actually freaking
very
cool.
That's so sweet.
So there's that. The next thing I got here last week, I think we mentioned it. I got the Infinities set of Darth Vader, Return of the Jedi. Got a little special. Sorry for our listeners if you can't see, but it's really cool packaging, really retro, and then it's got Darth Vader in like all white. It's super sick. Kind of like it's a what if basically. So
very cool. Really
sick stuff. We talked about this a while back, so really excited to get it. And when we get our studio in the future, hopefully you'll see these in the background.
Thank you for that news. Speaking of Star Wars toys, do we want to announce the winner of the? Is that Commander Cody?
It is Commander Cody. I haven't finished it yet, but keep going. Sorry.
Well, that was a great segue. Do we want to announce the winner of our Lego giveaway?
Let's do it.
For those of you who don't know, who might not have TikTok, we announced a little giveaway a couple days ago. And just before we got on, we selected at random, using this cool website, the winner of this giveaway. And we've got the set right here. I don't know if it'll show while this screen is shared. But it's this little Obi-Wan Kenobi Jedi Starfighter. Comes with the first Kaminoan minifig, which is really cool. I think it'll be really valuable in the future. But yeah, so we've got our winner, and we are going to ship that out to them ASAP. But without further ado, Spencer, if you've got that winner there.
And here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And our winner is TikTok. Pick every day. No, it's pick every day. It's pick every day. TikTok pick every day. Asher West fan page.
Okay.
All right. So congrats to you, our fair fellow. You will be. Oh, look at that. Every day they post a picture of until they die. That's a lot. That's dedication.
Wow.
Okay.
Crazy.
Respect. Well, you
Asher,
deserve to win.
Cool, man.
Holy hell, you deserve to win. Look at this. Look at this. My man's got
Wait,
stonks.
is it shared? Are
You
you
can't
sharing your
see it?
screen? No, I
Yeah.
can't see it.
Oh,
We're
I'm an
still locked
idiot.
on his face.
Dude, I am so stupid, dude. I need to die.
Spencer's been away from the computer a little too long,
Here
which
we
is
go.
great.
This was
We enjoy that. But
now
there
you
you
can
go.
see it,
Oh
right?
my word, Asher! Look at
It's
that
just
hair,
like, oh, it's now it stops. But yeah, it went on for a while.
dude. He's got more followers than us.
I know.
That's great.
So
That's crazy.
shouts out. He's taking a picture every day until he dies. Follow the bro TikTok picture every day, which is, I'm assuming, a brother of his, a friend, a pal. So anyways, congrats. We'll reach out to you for the details of where to ship it. We'll send it out to you, and we hope you enjoy it. And if you want to, get it once you build it, give us a shout out. We'll post you. But yeah, and we'll probably do another one soon. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed this. I was telling Spencer I was so nervous making the video. So if you heard that in my voice, sorry.
You have to understand, Austin does not get nervous, so this must have been a pretty big deal for him.
Yeah, it's just so many, just exposing myself to the world, it's just different. But yeah, maybe in the future we'll have to do, here's the thing. TikTok is the future, okay? That's where we want to grow our fan base. If you're a listener and you're one of our friends who doesn't use socials, or you use Instagram like a nerd, like Stone, then maybe we can do one on that. But we'll have to work around it somehow. Maybe we could do it on both. Anyway, we'll figure it out. The next one will be a little bit more inclusive, I'm sure.
It's just Instagram. My beef is just I don't even use it personally, so I just never post, and it's super simple to freaking do. I'm just a dumb baby. So, anyways, but yeah, and the other reason, like we said, TikTok is just growing more than anything else. It especially gives us the exposure of just immediate click to our YouTube page, and we honestly respect that. We've gotten a huge bump in our listeners, and that's just awesome to us, So thank you guys for that. Yeah, and then is that it for the giveaway? I think that's all we had, right?
That's it. So yeah, like Spencer said, I'll reach out to you, or the Disciples of the Force account will reach out to you via DM on TikTok. We'll either get your phone number, get your address, a PO box, and we'll send it to you, Asher. So should be easy. That's it though.
Easy. Cool. Well, with that, so we were actually talking about this. There have been a couple, fan edits of Kenobi, and so that's actually what we're going to dive into today. It's our new content. So we're actually going to go over the Patterson cut. If you don't know, basically this guy's taken everything from the Kenobi series and cut it up into a movie, 2-hour-long movie. We're going to kind of go over that just barely. So if you haven't seen it, it's not, I don't want to say it's a spoiler because the series is already done, so there's nothing crazy in it. It's just a cut of what's there. But if you want to watch it, honestly, give him a huge shout out to, what's his exact name? I don't have it when we have it.
So it's Kai Patterson. He's KP Films. Really, if you just type in Patterson Cut, it'll come up as the Obi-Wan Kenobi, the Patterson Cut. It's a fan film, so he doesn't get any money from it. So he's not going to get struck for copyright or anything. But his website is kaipattersonfilms.com/Kenobi. So go show him some love. It's you have to download it, which, plan a couple hours depending on your Wi-Fi to download it. Because I was going to watch it today. I did. I ended up watching it, but I had to wait 2 hours for it to download on my crap Wi-Fi. So plan for that.
For sure. And
16 gigs, I think, was the 4K.
Yes.
So nothing crazy.
Plan 16 gigs to have on your device because that's the only way. And then, of course, make sure you have a subscription to Disney Plus so that you're not just watching it, even though you don't go through it. That's just what they say. You got to.
Yeah.
Anyways, but super cool. So we're going to dive into that today. And then we talked about when Joker, what's his official YouTube name?
Pixel Joker 95.
Yes. When that is dropped, we will also dive into that as well. So kind of giving our thoughts on that here. So I'm trying to give you some Star Wars content with nothing really coming out. So, but to begin, I want to start this with a question. It's the underlying question. If this came out in the theaters, how successful would it be if this was just a movie? I know, granted, there's going to be some little weird things because it was a series cut to make a movie. But do you think this would have done better than the actual series itself, how it performed?
Yeah, yeah, I think it would have done much better than the series itself because starting off, it's paced a lot differently. This guy, Kai Patterson, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. It's Kai. He pretty much just like went at the fluff in this show and just cut everything else out, and you can really tell
Yeah.
just like how fast paced it is. And he ordered things, and he has a full explanation. But he talks about the pacing a lot, the crappy dialogue, and some unnecessary scenes that just didn't show up again. And right from the get go, when you're watching, you're like, wow, this is a little bit, like, quite a bit better.
Yeah.
So, and
absolutely.
instead of nearly 6 hours of content, it's 2.5 hours, which the 2.5 hours for me still felt long. And it's because
Yes.
I did not really like the series. So I was like, kind of like dragging through it. And I was like, oh, this sucks. But that being said, the Patterson cut is drastically better than the series.
Absolutely.
What do you think, Spenny?
No, I agree 100%. I mean, it shows you how much fluff is in the series that it's cut off 4 hours and everything makes sense still at the end of it all. And I genuinely like. I mean, so you and I had talked about this when I first watched it. I was really high off of that nostalgia, right? Like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
we're getting Hayden Christensen's coming back. All these things are like, oh, this is going to be so sick, right? And then after that, you had mentioned with Jaren that it's like, that's not that good after a rewatch. And so I kind of went back in and I was like, oh, I kind of dibbled into a little bit. And then watching this again, there's still some parts where I'm like, oh my God,
Yeah.
how did that make cut in the first place? Like he's got like Kai has to put it in because if this isn't in there, it's not going to make sense.
Yeah.
But this is just bad. So it's not his fault. It's the series itself. And like I said, we're always going to nitpick stuff. We're Star Wars fans and we want the best, but Kenobi was a big letdown. But this gave us a little hope for it. But
Yeah.
what are you going to say? Looks like you're going to say something before.
No, just bouncing off of you, how bad it was. Like you said, there were some parts even in this cut where it was like, man, I wish he could have taken that out because it's just so cringe. Like,
so bad.
and most of it is clumsy dialogue. I think this cut really helped with the poor writing decisions, but you can't cut out bad dialogue like that or clunky sequences because, I mean, we'll get into it, but the way that he had to cut it made it clunky as well. But it's like, so for example, the final fight with Darth Vader and Obi-Wan Kenobi. In the actual series, there's a 30-second clip of them fighting, and then it goes over to a different scene, which I think is...
It's the Luke scene.
Wait, what is it? I can't even remember. I think...
Is it the Luke scene where he goes back and Reva's trying to kill him? Is that what you're
Oh,
referring to?
yeah. That must be it.
Yeah. Because it's totally cut.
That's not even memorable to me. Yeah, because that's totally cut in this cut. So it's going back and forth to a kind of a Reva storyline that nobody needed, nobody cared for, where she was going after Luke, and it kind of just, I don't know. But anyway, this big long fight is kind of dispersed or interrupted by these other scenes. And like Spencer said, this Patterson guy cut all of those other scenes, so it's just a straight fight between Obi-Wan and Vader. But the way that he had to cut it, because of that, made it look really clunky. But like, there's nothing you can do. He's not a visual effects artist, you know?
Yeah, he's just editing it to make it look digestible, you know?
Yeah. But it's like, dude, they could have made this fight so cool. And I can't believe that we got 30 seconds and then a big pause, then 30 seconds, then a big pause, then 30 seconds in the original cuts. Like, how did they even
absolutely
blow that opportunity, you know? And that was my favorite part of the series, was that fight and, the climax there. So,
yeah. No, I agree. And I think, I guess we can kind of dive into it, but that was one of the biggest things I looked at was how I'm so glad he cut that out. We'll get into it more, but anyway, so I guess to start, a lot of cool cuts, a lot of things that he did add were like prequel edits into it, and that opening scene, like, he did. That's what I was thinking about. I was like, he did a really good job at reeling you in from the beginning. Like it was just boom right there. It gives you the awesome opening crawl that we're used to in a Star Wars movie. You get all of it, and then and then it says, and Darth Vader is haunted by his past. boom, it gives you the pan down from the stars, which I love. That's always how they are. Boom, right into Mustafar. You have Darth Vader, and I was like, yeah, how this is starting, 1,000 times better. And then as you're going through, you're getting cuts of Anakin and Obi-Wan during their battle on Mustafar. I guess technically he's Darth Vader at that point, but anyways, going back and forth to when they're fighting they're battling, shot in the Kenobi series where they're older. Not older, they're younger, but it's them now. I'm butchering what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
but
so
anyways,
in the original series, there are a couple of flashback scenes on Coruscant that take place before Episode 3, where Anakin and Obi-Wan are sparring.
Yes,
and they were cool sequences, but they didn't show up until like Episode 3 or 4.
Yeah,
we didn't get to see that. But like you're saying, Patterson includes this right at the beginning, and it's Vader meditating, like thinking back on his past mistakes, and he's thinking about this sparring session along with the duel on Mustafar, which is so cool.
So good. And then you get the cuts of and some of the cuts are lined up perfectly, like when after Obi-Wan's defeated Anakin, and then it cuts to when Obi-Wan's coming off of the ship when he's having the confrontation with Padme. So it's just perfect alignment, really good. Loved it. Just perfect way of starting you in. You're like, okay, I'm intrigued.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did so well with that. A couple other things I was thinking. I mean, I kind of don't want to go through it shot for shot. Right. If you want to watch it, just go watch it. But another great thing he did was, one thing that really bothered me in the original series was when the Grand Inquisitor and Reva show up on Tatooine and find that rogue Jedi. He's one of the Safdie brothers, the ugly one. Or they might both be ugly, but the one in Good Time. Anyway, they show up and find him there. And in that scene in the original series, this Jedi, they establish how bloodthirsty and cruel Reva is. And then this Jedi just slides through her legs and runs off. And Reva doesn't pursue him. So whack. So it's okay, so is she this cool, merciless, bloodthirsty Inquisitor? Or is she a quitter who doesn't really care about the mission? And in this cut, he makes it so Reva straight up kills the guy while they're standing there, which I thought was perfect. It establishes her as a villain. Because realistically, Reva was the most disliked part of the series for the most part, because they didn't build her up well. They didn't write her very well. And I mean, the performance wasn't great. So I thought maybe they'd just cut her out entirely, Patterson would, but he didn't. And I liked the way that he kept her in and made her as intimidating as he could,
Right. And I was going to ask, so now that you bring that up, well, first off, you bring a good point that some of the performance was not so good. Because I remember there was that huge thing where Star Wars was there's no racism in, Star Wars.
Yeah.
There shouldn't be. You should never hate anyone, right? But rewatching, I was there are some parts where her acting is not very good. For example, when she walks in to ask where Leia is after the kidnappers had taken her, and she's like, where is she? But she tries to do it angry, and it just does not work.
Yeah.
Dude, that is bad. But anyways, going along with that, she cuts off his head. Was that in the, was the head severing in the original? I don't even remember, because when he's hanging from the thing, his head's gone. And I was like, I don't remember that. I love it. Way better.
Yeah, way better. So no, in the original, we don't even see him die in the original because they were out of order.
Oh,
so what first happens is he runs from the cafe, and then later he sees Obi-Wan in the dark.
Yes.
Patterson switched it, which I thought was great. The Jedi finds him in the dark, in the desert, and then we see this Jedi die. In the original, we don't even see him die. We just see that scene where Obi-Wan's like, get out of here, go bury this in the desert. And then he comes back to the city, and that guy's hung up. But he's got his head. So,
yeah, okay. And that's what I loved. I loved that.
Yeah.
Really amazing editing. So far, you've already blown out Disney, who's got billions of dollars that can hire people to do that, and you just destroyed them. So, hats off to you. Amazing.
Yeah.
And I was going to ask real quick. I was thinking, so over the part where they're kind of doing the flyover of Tatooine, was that just taken from Biomes? I've never watched Biomes. Have you ever seen any of the Biomes stuff?
I've watched Biomes. It's pretty cool.
Is that what he showed, the kind of drone shot going over Tatooine in the beginning? Because there's some parts that looked a little cheesy. I'm like, I don't know if this is just ripped right off of Biomes or
At the very beginning, like when it pulls
Very
up on the fish that Obi-Wan's cutting out of.
but a little bit before that. Because I don't remember
I
if
think
that
that-
was in. If that's in, because if that's in it,
I don't
it
know.
is.
Here's what I
It's
think. I
really
think
bad
Biomes is
CGI.
yeah. I think Biomes is real world footage
okay
like-
okay.
of these places. So I don't think that's the case. I think Disney just looked that bad. Because
That is
even the
crazy.
fish thing that I know is original looked horrible.
Horrible.
I was like,
Horrible.
what? I don't remember it
Yes.
looking that bad.
That was my same exact thought when they were doing that flyover. I was like, this looks
Yeah.
like this is bad. This is really really bad.
You see like the mountains of sand,
Mhm.
like the wind blowing over them. It looks so bad. Like somebody,
Not
like
good.
some Blender rookie just put it in there. Which maybe I didn't go back and watch that scene particularly. Throughout this Patterson cut, I was pulling up Disney Plus on my phone and watching the original because I was like, oh, I don't remember that. I don't remember that. I didn't look at that specifically, but I'm almost positive that was original, which is so just telling for how bad Disney did it.
Golly, dude. Jeez. Yeah, but yeah, go ahead.
Oh, one thing that I loved that he did was he cut out the Leia chase scene.
Oh yes, dude.
Because, dude,
it's so good.
Oh, it was at the time it hadn't been very long since Boba Fett, and they got so much trash for that chase scene, that car chase scene, or the speeder chase scene. And then they had this Leia chase scene, and I remember talking to you or to Jaren, I can't remember. It's like, why doesn't Disney just learn to not do freaking chase sequences? Like, they can't do it right, obviously. I was like, why didn't they just show her get kidnapped right there by like these adults? Why couldn't they just grab her?
Yeah,
And
you
that's
can't
what
get a
Patterson
kid.
did. He just spliced the two scenes where the guy introduces himself and then she gets caught. And I'm like, that's perfect.
Yes, it is exactly how it should have been. I'm like, how did this pass the editing room? Like, dude,
Mhm.
that's exactly how it should have been.
Well, yeah.
And
It's just, oh, sorry, go ahead.
go ahead, you're good.
I was just going to say, it's just so surprising along that vein. And like what you were saying earlier, how bad so many other performances were. Like, I can't remember her name, but the little girl that plays Leia and Ewan McGregor were like the two solid performances in this whole show, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And O'Shea Jackson Jr. I liked him. Ice Cube's son.
Yeah.
But his character's corny. Anyway. Like, those bounty hunters, bad acting. Just so cringe. And you
And,
can't
like,
cut that out, you know?
Yeah, there's like parts that's like, it's, and you need it for the story, but there's just so much acting. I'm like, oh, dude, damn, that is bad. You know, like, I don't know, dude. It just was, some of it was like, chimney, like who, one of the Inquisitors, the big one, I forget their name. There was a couple lines that they delivered. I was like, oh, that is so bad. That just
Wait,
was not
the white dude?
the Grand Inquisitor, the chunkier one. I don't know if it's a sister or a brother. I actually don't know which one.
Wait, green face?
Yeah, it's like a green, little chunkier,
Okay.
fatter one. I'm trying to be nice, but I'll just say it, the fatter one. Is that what you're trying to do? You're trying to catch me? Trying to get me not to say it? The fat one, dude. Jeez.
I genuinely don't know because there's only like 4. So when
Right,
we were saying big, I was like, does he mean Grand Inquisitor?
No, not the Grand Inquisitor. I guess that's
Okay,
fair.
let me share my
I guess I should
screen.
have just said fat.
You know how to say
That's what
big
you
in
wanna hear?
Spanish?
Yeah,
This
but
green guy back
you
here?
can see-
Look, here's
Hold
the
on.
figures.
Yes,
Which of
far
these
right.
4? This guy. Yes, okay, yeah. Green guy.
Yeah, there was a couple lines that he delivered that I was like, bro, that is bad.
Well, and dude, that's the thing is I was like, why don't you just get some established actors in here? And
Yeah.
he's an established actor. I mean,
No.
he's in the Fast and Furious franchise, so
Oh, so
that's as established as it gets. But yeah, it's just bad. Like, I wish they would have cast Reva as somebody else.
Yes.
Like, I get that they were going for like a young girl, but my girl Lupita, who is already working with Disney, she would have killed it. And
I
like,
think-
have you seen Us by Jordan Peele?
Oh, yes, I have. Yes.
Dude, shut up. Yes, you have. Lupita
know,
in
I
that
thought-
is
I thought
crazy
you-
scary.
I thought you were saying, have you seen This Is Us? Because I know that's another TV show.
No,
I've
no.
seen.
But Lupita in that is crazy scary. And it's like, dude, if Star Wars wanted a young black female lead, why don't they just pick Lupita, who's actually scary and like has acting range? I think the only other good performance was the like spy, the undercover lady.
Oh, the girl. Yes. I
Yeah,
heard him, but
because
yes,
she's from Game
really
of
good.
Thrones.
Yeah.
So she's established. But yeah, sorry.
man.
Anyway, yeah, there's just a ton
Just-
of bad performances.
Yeah, and it like, you know, it's bad that even if they cut a majority of your lines and they still put you in, and you're like, ugh, you just didn't do good. It just wasn't good. But a side note from that, I was gonna say this. I wonder. I want to put together a timeline, or not timeline, a video of how many times it is said Anakin Skywalker is dead, because in the Thrawn books I'm reading, you know, it's said a bunch of times Anakin's dead. And then here it's said, and then it's said, and it's just, I don't know. I would love to see it because it's said a lot, but it's very important. Like, I just love when Darth Vader says it because he's just like, nah, dude, that dude is dead. He does not exist. Do not bring him up. He's gone. Anyways, I just thought of that while doing that. I was going to ask you real quick, if I may. If you allow
Please,
it.
on delay.
I saw a video. I probably sent it to you. But it was really cool. They talked about how because Obi-Wan couldn't have buried Anakin, right, because he left him on Mustafar,
Right.
he buried his lightsaber instead.
Yeah, like the only piece of him.
Right.
Yeah.
I was like, that is so sad. And then when he was digging it up again, I was like, damn, that's like digging, like, that's all he had of him.
Yeah.
So
That's crazy.
Really, really cool. Really cool.
And dude, that's the thing is, like, there was so much potential for emotional moments. And that's where, that was another bad performance. She was in it for like 2 seconds, but Ewan McGregor's daughter is in it. She's the one that like offers him drugs at the beginning.
Oh, that's his daughter?
That's his like real life daughter. And so when she's like, I was somebody's daughter too. It's funny because she's his daughter.
Oh, that's funny. I didn't know that.
Kind of rocky performance. But anyway, like I don't think he's necessarily like a fantastic actor. In a lot of ways, I think he's a great voice actor. I like him in Moulin Rouge. Have you ever seen that?
No, but I need to.
You need to. He's pretty okay in that. But he, like, you can tell he cared about a character, and he brings some like emotional weight to the role. And there were so many times where the writing got in the way of those like genuine emotions between him and, you know, Hayden Christensen as Darth Vader, which is a real shame, you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with that as well, like, he really delivered a beautiful performance at the end when he's just like, I'm sorry. For everything. Like, it's like, dang, like the emotion you see in his eyes, you're like, oh my golly, dude.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you feel it. And then, so I agree. And I think sometimes writing, there was a lot of places where it could have been where it was just writing ruined it. But with that being said, don't want you to think we're attacking Patterson. There's nothing he did. This is 100% just original OG Kenobi series, what it is. And what he did with it is truly amazing. It's I was able to show, I was watching it with Ellie. She watched kind of the last half with me. And like with what he did with the editing, she was able to follow along just perfectly fine. Yeah. You know, like questions of like, because she didn't see the beginning part, like, oh, who's that? But when she got that, she could stick around. It wasn't like all the characters need to be introduced. Done so well. And just the fluff cut out was just amazing.
Yeah. And I mean, he really made it as a fan edit for people who weren't satisfied with Kenobi, and he blew it out of the park. Or knocked it out of the park. Blew it out of the water. One of those two. But I couldn't help but thinking, like, the pacing is still pretty bad. Just a little not ridicule, but constructive criticism. I'm also a film expert. I have a film podcast. It's called Film Fixation. Spencer's technically on it too. He doesn't ever show up. But
one day we'll.
But the pacing, because he had to cut so much, like, you could tell at the end, the pacing was kind of bad, where the cuts were awkward and jumpy. And then another thing that's totally outside of Patterson's control, but the music was lacking. So there were a couple times where he showed scenes and put music over them that wasn't there before, and he just used like archived Star Wars music, and so it didn't really fit. Like when Leia is like falling off the roof and Obi-Wan has to save her with the Force, the music is so loud and overwhelming, where the original scene, I pulled it up, is like silent, and I think that's more effective than so that was just pacing and music that he can't control, because I don't think he could have, the way that you cut it, he would have cut the original audio out, so he had to overlay it with something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was great. I really liked some of the visual effect things too that he did, because I don't think he's a visual effects artist, and that's why I'm excited for Pixel Joker 95, is because that guy's actually like a visual effects guy on Andor, works for Lucasfilm, so he's making like a full remake. It's going to be a little bit more comprehensive than this one. But what I really liked is one of the scenes when Obi-Wan is rescuing Leia from like that torture chamber in the dark, and he turns on his lightsaber and kills those two stormtroopers. In the original, he hits them like it's a baseball bat, like it bounces off their armor several times before it kills them. This guy Patterson just cut it so that one slice kills them, which is really cool.
Yeah, super good.
And then another thing he added, which was okay, two things. Can I go on a rant for a second? Two things Patterson nailed. Okay. In the original, when Obi-Wan is on, I can't remember the planet that it's called, but those like incendiary rocks drop between him and Obi-Wan, and they get lit on fire, and for no reason at all, Vader allows the droid to go pick up Obi-Wan and save him, and Obi-Wan gets away. It's so strange. And in this, Patterson actually, and it was like one of the few visual effects that he added, and you could kind of tell because the shading's different. There's a stormtrooper, and he's like, Lord Vader, should we go after him? And Vader's like, no, not just yet. Or, not yet. Which isn't in the original. In the original, I went back and looked. He's just standing there. So you're like, why the F isn't he chasing after him? In this, it makes sense that he's giving a reason to not chase after him.
Like, it's not yet time. Like,
yeah.
I'm toying with my food before I eat it, kind of a
Exactly. And
that's
then, dude,
crazy. Because
no, go on.
Quick. Just when you said that, when he did the, sorry, my dog's crying. She's sleep crying. Weirdo. Well, when the audio kicked in for the stormtrooper talking, I was like, "It sounds bad." Not like rude.
Yeah.
I was like, "It just sounds a little off." But that's why it was edited. I should have pulled it up. I should have been like you. We should have been better. All right, sorry, but keep going.
Okay. And then this was my favorite part of the cut. So cool. So we've wondered for a long time why Obi-Wan couldn't bring himself to kill Anakin on Mustafar. Makes sense. It was an emotional time. He didn't want to kill him. He thought he did enough by like leaving him limbless and burning. So he walks away. He didn't have the heart to kill him.
Yeah.
So in this series, he finds out Anakin is alive for the very first time. This is new knowledge to him. He finds out Anakin is alive and is Darth Vader. And at the end of the series, he gets in a duel with him, wins again, and leaves him alive. And you're like, why?
Yes.
Of course it has to lead into the original trilogy, and of course it has to make sense. It's plot armor. But it's like, why would Obi-Wan leave him alive again after all he's learned? All this growth is for nothing. Dude, this guy, Kai Patterson, nails this, okay? I can't remember the exact wording, but as Obi-Wan is standing over Vader, like struggling for breath, almost dead, you hear Qui-Gon's voice, who Qui-Gon Obi-Wan has been trying to reach Qui-Gon the entire series, or the entire cut, and Qui-Gon goes, he will restore balance to the Force. And that's what makes Obi-Wan leave him alive. So cool. And then it adds more depth when Obi-Wan then goes and visits Luke and talks to Owen, and he's like, you're right. I don't need to watch over him. Like, it'll take care of itself. Because now he has the faith in the Force again. That the Force is going to take care of it. He doesn't have to be watching over a hawk over Luke. the Force is going to take care of it. So cool. So congrats, my boy Kai Patterson. Nailed that.
Amazing. And there was a couple things where he like did that with the overlay audio, and yeah, I had the same thing. Right when I heard that, I was like, oh, that clicks why he doesn't finish him. And
yeah,
he did it yet again, like filling in those tiny plot holes, because like you said, there's plot armor with it, but making it make sense. Like, yes, Obi-Wan can't kill Darth Vader because A New Hope has to happen, but it doesn't mean you can't give a reason to why he doesn't do it. And yeah, like you said, amazing. The Qui-Gon audio cutting in, so good. It really did just kind of put a little cherry on top. I loved it.
Yeah, man. And it just goes to show why you need writers that care about the source material and like about the canon. Because it was a one sentence line that totally fixed everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like the intention of the series, that one line. Because instead of just a bunch of random events where Obi-Wan has to do this mission for Bail Organa and then he accidentally runs into his former Padawan and he's still scarred after all of it.
Mm-hmm.
That one line makes it an actual journey for Obi-Wan where he has grown to trust in the Force again, has a reason to look for his master.
Right.
Like all of these things fall into place with one line. Like a writer can't include that for whatever reason. It's just, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. No, you're right. Because it also, like you said, it restores his faith in the Force. And then, yeah, it makes sense why he leaves to go on his journey. You know.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta find Qui-Gon. I gotta learn some stuff because the Force is real, and I need to rely on that more. And like you're saying, him leaving Luke, you're right. It's just one line. One line gave you all of that context that made sense of everything. And along with that, I do love when Obi-Wan is leaving him and he calls him Darth, because that's what he calls him again and he sees him in A New Hope. And I was like,
so
that's
cool.
dope. It's like such a small thing, like, but I was like, oh, that's really cool. And we talked about this earlier, since we're towards the end of the scene of it all, of the movie. Love that they didn't put in freaking Reva fighting Luke, trying to they make it so she's dead once the Inquisitor and Darth Vader show up. It just like,
Well, so did they clarify that she actually died right there?
They don't really clarify it, but she's just not brought up. Like,
right. Because here was my beef with the original. She survived that same thing as a kid. And
twice.
You know, in the writer's room, they were like, this is going to be an awesome parallel that like Darth Vader stabbed her and then Darth Vader stabs her again. But it's stupid. Like Darth Vader. And, you know, I never like to be like this stupid Star Wars fan that just hates on everything Disney. But this is so genuinely stupid. Like Darth Vader, the big bad of the entire saga, the entire franchise, can't kill a kid. Like he killed every other one and just stabbed her. And
he can kill kids. He can kill
kids. And then when it comes down to it and she's found out and betrayed and he knows that she knows he's Anakin and he doesn't kill her. Bro, every other time in canon when somebody finds out he's Anakin Skywalker, kills him immediately.
Right.
Like we see in the comics when Jocasta Nu finds out he's Anakin, he defies the Emperor's mission to bring her back alive, kills her right on the spot because he doesn't want anybody to know. You think he's going to find out that the traitorous Inquisitor found out he's Anakin and he's just going to let her live? No effing way. But shot. Yeah, he's going to kill her. Kudos to the Patterson cut again. It leaves it ambiguous. You know, we don't know if she died. You know, hopefully for the sake of the story, she did. But then if Disney wanted to bring her back, why don't they leave it as an ambiguous ending? Because how did it end actually? She chases down Luke and then she just goes on her own? Like she
just goes on her own.
Scotch-free.
Like, I think it's like, I have a mission to get him. I'm going to get him, basically. We want the same thing. I want to kill him. And she leaves.
So if you want to revisit the character, you can still do that, but with a little bit more emotional weight to it. Because I feel bad for, what's her name? I think it's Moses Ingram. If that's not the name, I'm going to hate myself. Yeah, Moses Ingram. Like, I don't know. I just hate that Star Wars, like, sacrificed her career. Because Like they didn't want to put any depth behind this character, and they made one of the biggest fan bases in the world hate her. And then they tried to gaslight the fan base. Like you said, like there's no room for racism in the fan base or sexism or whatever. Like in a year from now, we're going to get a young black female lead who's going to play a dark side user. She's going to knock it out of the park, probably. Amanda Sandberg. But it's like they just threw Moses Ingram at the mercy of the fans without trying to write a good character. Just probably ruined her career right from the start. Like she's not going to, I mean, I don't know. I think I'm overestimating how much strength Star Wars fans have in popular media, but I feel bad for her that they just wrote such a crappy character and used her pretty much.
Yeah. It was rough, and with what there is there, you can just, because she's such a vital part to the storyline that you have.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could cut around her, but it can make it kind of like an Andrew Santino where she's on the screen, but they just cut before she talks.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is sad what they did to her, and I think she had potential, but it's hard because it's like, oh, it's not her fault, but there's some, I don't know. It's such a slippery slope to go at, but I see what you're saying, that, Disney didn't take the time to really flesh out the character. Like, okay, boom, this makes sense. This is why she's doing this. Like, I think the concept of an Inquisitor being a double-sided, that's awesome. That's a sick concept.
Yeah.
Executed poorly, so poorly.
Yeah, and like, here's the other thing. If you're going to invest in young talent and make them a major antagonist in one of your biggest projects to date, like, prepare them for the role. Give them some direction, because, it's partially her fault that she didn't give a great performance.
Yeah.
But, like, how does nobody at Disney have the know-how to, like, train her and have her perform better, Like, it's just, I don't know. It's crazy that they would. Anyway, we're getting away from the Patterson Cut. I just hate what Obi-Wan Kenobi did to my love for Obi-Wan Kenobi as a character. Because even watching this, dude, Patterson Cut's way, way better. But I'm like, this makes me sick watching, like, and it really got me thinking about all the fluff from the original. Like, thinking about what they had cut out. I'm like, I can't believe they made a show about Obi-Wan Kenobi and just destroyed him like this. But like you said, I mean, there was great potential for a cool new Inquisitor that is a double agent of sorts, and has a common enemy in Darth Vader. And they just butchered it all. So it's really sad.
Yeah. But with that being said, I think the biggest thing to look at is this cut revives is such a, like, it's good. If you started watching Obi-Wan and you hated it, or you finished it and you said, I would watch this, because you'd be like, okay, this is better. Again, keep in mind, this guy is only given what is out there, right? He's not like he has the archives of everything that was filmed for the Obi-Wan. He took only what is released, and he did an excellent job. So
yeah,
I think you should give it a watch.
Yeah, I mean, I wish he could receive some kind of money for his time and effort, because really he, like, something that I would never touch again in the series Obi-Wan Kenobi. I would never go revisit that, because it was just so, I really didn't like it.
Yeah, it's hard.
Like, he made it bearable and watchable, and actually, gave it some weight. And it was great. Even like the one more cut that he made that I really liked was when Reva, so the original series opens with a flashback of Reva as a kid. So we know from the beginning, like, her past, that this is where she comes from, which I think is actually a good point of storytelling. Like, here's the setup for the Inquisitor so that we're automatically emotionally attached to her. He chose to remove that and later include it when she's being stabbed again by Darth Vader. which I think is just as effective because
Right.
at this point we've grown to hate her as an Inquisitor, and we see that she's trying to like work with Obi-Wan Kenobi to take out Anakin. But we're like, where does all this come from? And then we see like as the striking or the final strike is delivered, we see that flashback, and I think that was just as great storytelling.
Yeah.
So very good.
Yeah, really good. I mean, the things that were put in there, I think, were necessary. Small edits that meant the world, especially to fans. It's like Disney. If someone who is not getting paid and just has the desire to make something that you put out better and executes it 1,000 times better and is not making a penny off of it, I think you got to look inside and start fixing things. I mean, that's insane.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm the head, like, imagine like I'm an editor for Disney, and I watch that, and everyone's raving about it. I'm like, oh, let's give it a look, and I watch it, and I go, damn, that's good.
Yeah.
Then that means I got to fire some people, I got to change something because I'm dropping the ball. If I'm paying people money and it's not even coming out as good as that. Granted, the filming and everything is all put into it. This is just pure editing. But anyways, go ahead.
No, that's a great point, and it's even more important that it comes out. Now I don't know how long the Patterson Cut's been out. Probably just a couple weeks at most. I just heard about it like last week.
Yes, I did too. So maybe it's now just catching wind. But yeah.
But the fact that it came out right now, right after, I don't know if you saw this, but Disney talked about their latest quarter, just how poorly Disney Plus performed, and it's prompting them to step back on a lot of their productions, so they're not putting out stuff anymore as frequently. They said that already, that hey, we lost this many viewers. I can't remember the exact numbers, but they got obliterated in the viewership. And so now they're stepping back and they're not going to make as much stuff, original content. And it's like, I don't know how that's going to solve the problem. I mean, I think it's great to, if the market's oversaturated, stop making content. But it's just oversaturated with bad content. So hopefully like Disney can see, oh my gosh, like you said, this Patterson Cut and these other cuts are going to be way more successful than what we put out. Can we maybe employ these guys? Can we get them on in the writers' rooms and of course there's that writer's strike going on as well, which is unfortunate. But
pay your writers, just pay them.
Yeah, exactly. Like, how can we get these guys on board so we don't keep losing viewers? Like they already know that they're getting destroyed. They're losing viewers. You would think they would look at successful stuff like this and say, yeah, this is the change we need to go towards. But
yeah. And the other thing with that is that they've done it before. I mean, going back to The Mandalorian season 2, like that guy who saw the deep fake of Luke was like, oh, dude, I can make a better one. Shows how we do it. They go, oh, that is better. And they hired him,
Yeah.
So it's like, it's done. You don't have to, you've already swallowed your pride one time. Just do it to save your franchise. But I agree. I think, and if you're not going to put out as many things, that's great. Take time with what you're going to put out, and don't just rush it and put it out.
Yeah. It's maybe they're doing this stuff as a recruiting tool. Like they're like, maybe we'll just put out bad stuff, and then all these people will fix it, and then we'll hire them. So we'll see.
I think that's exactly what they're doing, actually.
Yeah, I really hope some of their future projects don't get delayed, like the Acolyte. If that gets delayed, I'll die.
You do love that.
That's my most anticipated show, and I was talking to Spencer about this. I don't think we've had an episode since this all came out. I got on YouTube one day, and all these little Star Wars fans were whining about how the Acolyte is going to be Disney's woke disaster. You're an idiot, okay? It's going to be great. Don't write it off before it comes out, because that's what's going to make it bad, So,
yeah.
Anyway, it's going to be
If
great.
you're hating a project before it hits, you're automatically not going to like it.
Yeah, you're just going to be looking to nitpick.
Real quick before we end, I did want to say there was a point where I can't remember the girl. This is the name. The Game of Thrones actress, when she's trying to get into the Inquisitor. I can't remember. She's trying to get like the headquarters, and they stop her. He's like, "Hey, you don't have clearance to go here," and she's like, "I'm your commanding officer," and she's like, "You will call me sir." it goes back to you and I had this conversation forever ago about Ahsoka, how all the clones always called her Sir, regardless.
Yeah.
Like it's always Sir. And then in that scene, he calls her Sir. So I'm like, oh, that must just be something in the Star Wars universe that just everyone is Sir if you're in power. Like there's nothing.
There's no ma'am, I guess.
Yeah, which is cool. I guess you don't be sexist. You just treat everyone the same. Or it's super sexist.
Yeah, either way it's fine, right?
Either way. You're dead.
Yeah.
And the last thing I was going to say is I saw this post, and I've never drawn this comparison, and I really liked it, but how Luke is so much like Padme and Leia is so much like Anakin with the stubbornness. And like it's funny how the whole time during the series, during the, I guess still the series, Obi-Wan's like, you're so much like your mother, like so determined, which Padme is, right? But I would say that Anakin is a little bit more, like I think some of that stubbornness is definitely a little bit more Anakin's side. And it's funny how he doesn't say that, like, because he's been with Anakin, he knows how stubborn he is when he asks him to do something. He's like, no, this is why we're doing this. This is silly.
But yeah, he does have that trauma around Anakin, so maybe he just doesn't even like
blocks it out,
drawing that. Yeah,
baby. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, what a loser.
And then actually, sorry, one last thing that I just thought about when I was thinking of that. I remember as a kid, it was so hard for me to like I knew Darth Vader was Anakin, but it's like I just saw them. I'm like, they're nothing alike. Like this is not the same dude. Especially when you go into the Clone Wars and you watch how charming he is. Like this is not the same dude.
That's killer.
But then you're like, oh, that's the whole freaking point. Anakin is dead. This is not. This is the embodiment of maybe Anakin's body. It's not. I'm not him at all. You know what I mean? Like. And like watching that and like listening to the Thrawn books as I'm listening to it, like you can hear how because it's cool because in the second book, this one you should I hope you read it because if you get to the second one, really dope because in the beginning it goes from back and forth with Anakin to Darth Vader.
Oh wow!
And Thrawn was on a mission with him, and it's like really like night and day just how they talk to each other and like you're like wow that's because this is a total different person, not the same dude at all. And it's like that's the whole point of it all. Anakin is dead is said for a reason because he killed him. He is not there at all until, of course, Luke in Return of the Jedi helps him come back. But yeah.
Wow, that was a great comparison. I've never even thought of that.
Thank you. And that's why I'm here.
Beautiful.
Sometimes I have some ideas.
Okay, well, yeah. Like we said, I hope nothing we said serves as a criticism for the Patterson Cut.
Right.
And I hope we don't just sound like whiny, Disney hating Star Wars fans. But it was a project we all anticipated, very highly. And it was subpar, putting it lightly. And this Patterson guy fixed a lot of our issues with it. So please go out and support this guy. Go download it. Go watch it. I don't know if there's a way to support him. I don't think he can take any finances for it legally.
Yeah.
But just spread the word. It's a good cut. It's worth the watch for sure. So go check that out.
Yeah. And the download takes a bit. It's honestly super worth it. It was great. It really well done. And the edits, I just can't amazing. I want to shake your hand. Let me shake your hand.
Okay. Well, Spenny, you got anything else?
No, that is it. We will excited. Shout out again to our winner. Maybe we'll try to do another one soon. Maybe something different. Maybe we'll do maybe an action figure. I don't know. One day we're gonna get to those lightsabers. We don't got that money though. But thank you guys.
Well,
and
I could get rid of my Disney lightsabers. I'm looking to get rid of them anyway. So maybe comment down below. Yeah, I was maybe just gonna sell them. I might sell them and get a Saber 3 lightsaber. Anyway,
I was thinking about the same thing. Anyways, but yeah.
But comment down below. Or, email us if you want a Disney lightsaber. Maybe we can do a giveaway or something like that.
It's disciplesoftheforce@gmail.com.
Perfect. Okay, well, without further ado then, let's go ahead and sign off, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Thank you for being a disciple
of the Force.